Okay.
Man, what is this, man? With the Chinese men not wanting to marry anymore? They're actually going monk. What's up with that, man?
Because okay. First, that's only in certain cities. That's like Beijing,
Hmm.
Shanghai, and
Okay.
Guangzhou. Everywhere else is it's not like that, right?
Okay.
But it's just like for example, Shanghai is just so materialistic, man.
The exaggerated demands of Chinese women have made it difficult for many men in the market, especially those with annual salaries below 200,000 yuan, who find it almost impossible to compete.
So if you're making $50,000, don't date.
Ooh.
I'm just being for real. You're not ready to date.
Again, I'm with you. When
You're not ready to. You're not ready to date because courtship costs.
Some women, even though they do not own a car, house, or savings, are still dissatisfied if a man's monthly income is only 30,000 yuan.
Stop dating broke boys who have no ambition, who are not working hard, who are not going anywhere. I mean, and then my term broke boys, I call them the broke boys club on my TikTok.
Feeling that he cannot meet their expectations for marriage, such as owning a villa, a luxury car, or having an annual salary of 1 million yuan.
Whereas someone like Lisa Ray, whose parents completely provided for her, doted on her, pampered her like a princess, she has way higher standards for the men that she allows into her life.
In this situation, if you were a Chinese man, would you choose a Chinese woman or a foreign one?
You can tell by the look in this woman's face that she is dealing with a level of panic as she is responding to the question that the lady earlier in the video asked. If Chinese men were in a situation where things are getting more difficult for the average man to find a wife, what would they do? Well, before we get to that, we know what would happen in the black community. We know what that message sounds like.
All women should be gold diggers. These men want sex when they want it, hot meals, clean house. They want you to produce the child, nurture the child, be a counselor to them when they going through hard times and they have nothing to give you or to bring towards you. Then let these men go. Dig for gold. And the only men that's going to complain about this are men that have mountains of dust. They're bums.
As you can see by this lady's reaction, Chinese men are not taking the same tone. In fact, they're making a pretty emphatic statement about the modern dating market where they are.
Oh my God, it seems that the trend of international marriage has already begun. The brothers in Guangxi have already tasted it, and many of them have already married foreign wives, with the proportion of men marrying foreign wives as high as 90%. A professor from Xiamen University, Professor Ding, has even suggested that we should open up international marriage and invite eligible women from abroad to solve the marriage difficulties of Chinese men. It seems like Chinese men are really happy about this. These foreign wives don't ask for a bride price, nor do they care about cars or houses. They are simply disrupting the Chinese marriage market and creating unhealthy competition.
And that's what I think we need in our community. We got a monopoly on one another. Black women feel like they got a monopoly on black men. Black women have always been the best, move out, such and so forth. So I'm going to ask the question, if you don't like each other, you don't want to deal with each other, maybe it's time to open up the market to competition. But then you're going to have to compete.
Going back to Kevin Samuels' live stream that is more than 3 years old as of the making of this video, rest in peace, by the way, to the late, great Kevin Samuels, he is saying something that is common sense, but it wasn't really common sense to us in the black community. As a matter of fact, what he said was causing a lot of dust up. But as you can see with the Chinese ladies, they are realizing that Chinese men took what Kevin Samuels said 3 years ago and they're running away with it.
It seems like Chinese men are really happy about this. These foreign wives don't ask for a bride price, nor do they care about cars or houses. They are simply disrupting the Chinese marriage market and creating unhealthy competition. Some men say that Russian wives are fair-skinned, beautiful, and even have tall figures, but they don't require a bride price, and they don't need cars or houses. Vietnamese wives work diligently, and they don't need cars or houses. Compared to the high costs of Chinese women, marrying a foreign wife is undoubtedly an economical and practical choice.
I think it's funny. I found out today that one of the biggest divestors out there is now back with a black man. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? The people who don't want competition are people who don't want to see the best outcome. If I was asking about Women expanding their options, they have long talked about black women. Expand your options, expand your options. Well, I'm asking you, black women, is it time for black men to expand their options? Laissez-faire, hands off. That's right.
我是搞不定中国女人了，我才娶了一个外国女人，因为我觉得娶中国女人是最难的。
I really can't pursue Chinese women anymore, so in the end, I decided to marry a foreign woman. Actually, I've always felt that marrying a Chinese woman is the hardest thing.
Correlation or causation? I'll let you decide. De Beers' historic price reduction signals diamond market woes. De Beers has cut diamond prices by 10 to 15%, a historically large reduction in response to falling demand and a rise in synthetic diamonds. This move signals a significant shift in the diamond market, with De Beers previously resisting price cuts.
Sometimes he asks me, why did you choose a Chinese husband? Actually, I think my husband is a very gentle and kind person, and he's very good with words. Every time he asks me this, I just smile and reply, of course I like Chinese men. You know, recently, more and more Chinese people are marrying foreigners. I think this is becoming a trend. He says he likes Russian girls, which makes me really happy, because he often asks me, why do Russian girls like Chinese men so much? I happily tell him, Russian girls especially like Chinese men because they are not only handsome but also good at cooking. They are very considerate in daily life, they love their wives, and they even wash the dishes, do the laundry, and clean the house.
In my study of Chinese, I come across a large number of new words, and I would say that the word I've learned recently that's fitting for the way this young lady is talking about her husband is 可爱, cute. Not just her mannerisms, but she is in a relationship with a man that either she's really smitten by or she's really good at acting like it. And you can tell that the guy that's with her is really excited about it. Now let me ask you this question. Do you think if this young lady gives that man who is wondering why she wanted to be with him 2 kids and they walk down to the diamond store, you think that De Beers is going to have any problem at all selling a very expensive diamond to that man? I think not.
With such men, which Russian girl wouldn't want a Chinese husband? Where in Russia can we find such good men? When my husband hears me praising him, he blushes and gets a little embarrassed. It warms my heart. Sometimes, my husband also asks me, why didn't you find another better Chinese guy? I tell him that I think he's already great, especially how good he is to me. I'm particularly curious though, that with so many good Chinese men, why do Chinese women still want a bride price, a house and a car? Don't Chinese women worry that all the good Chinese men will go to Russia to find wives? If that really happens, what will Chinese girls do?
If you see the smile on her face and the cute mannerisms, I believe that Kevin Samuels referred to this as competing.
They'll have no husbands left, haha. I told my husband, if we have a son, he can also marry a Russian girl in the future. My husband jokingly said that I'm really clever because this way we can save a lot of money on the bride price. I laughed and told him, you're not allowed to say things like that. I'm not trying to save on the bride price, I just think Russian girls are really great. In the future, our son should marry a chubby Russian girl, just like me.
She calls herself chubby. Think about that.
My term broke boys, I call them the broke boys club on my TikTok because I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about they're mentally broke, they're emotionally broke.
Quick shout out to my sub Baleri Kirmu. He sent me this video and it was this lady's particular appearance on the video that struck me, because if you listen to what she's saying, it's going to sound extremely familiar. And it's going to go back to what Hot Sauce was saying, in that in a city environment, the requirements for what men have to provide to find a mate go ever upwards. And if you want to find a mate, you're going to have to think wherever you go, overseas or staying where you are, you might have to go somewhere outside of the city to attract a quote unquote non-city girl. Because the city girls, no matter where you go, are starting to kind of sound like...
A man posted a video claiming that marrying a foreign wife doesn't require a dowry, essentially getting free labor. This kind of statement is very typical, reflecting a wanting but not giving mentality. Wanting all the benefits for himself but unwilling to pay anything in return. In fact,
These people are no different from those who advocate for the cancellation of dowries. Anyone who supports abolishing dowries is essentially someone who wants to take but not give.
Hey besties, this is your friendly reminder that you should not be providing free domestic labor to a man you are not married to. And even if you are married to him, you still shouldn't be providing it for absolutely free unless it is equal or equitable within your home.
If you feel that dowries are too expensive or that you don't want one at all, you can simply choose not to get married. There's no need to argue about this issue. Marriage is voluntary, and there's no need to dispute it excessively. However, if a man is very eager to get married but doesn't want to pay a dowry, he will repeatedly advocate for the cancellation of dowries. I think it might be acceptable if a couple doesn't plan to have children after marriage and splits the household chores evenly, but these two conditions are nearly impossible to meet. Especially for someone like me living in an open first-tier city like Shenzhen, I've never encountered a man who wants to get married but doesn't want to have children. Many men want to get married but don't want to pay a dowry. They justify it by claiming that dowries objectify women, turning them into commodities. I personally don't agree with this viewpoint, especially since some economists compare marriage to running a company.
Who is marriage good for? Who's it serving more, men or women?
Now, men. Marriage, being with the kids and kind of with the mum, is just right now still an incredibly important way for men to feel needed, connected, involved, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that might change, but right now it is pretty clear that they'll do better. And like, if you look at the impact of being married and not married on employment, earnings, health, physical and mental health, life expectancy, huge positive impacts for men, much less so for women.
Which I find quite fitting. In a company, women often bear more responsibility and labor, such as pregnancy, childbirth, and breastfeeding, while men only need to pay a certain dowry. Doesn't this seem like a reasonable cost? If both parties enter into marriage, it's like co-managing a family business, so their contributions should be balanced. Marriage isn't about one person being in charge while the other is a subordinate or a commodity. We are both independent individuals with our own subjectivity. In this relationship, the dowry is a necessary cost for the man to enter into this marriage, and it doesn't turn a woman into an object.
I posted a video about guys not knowing what they want in their 30s, and let me tell you, the comments have me like shook. The amount of men saying that they don't want to get married because they don't want to have to take care of a woman is like absolutely mind-blowing.
Well, to me, it sounds like the men do know what they want and they don't want to take care of somebody. If they wanted to take care of someone, they would have got a plant or a fur baby. They said they don't want to take care of someone that is equal of getting the same things that they had. Women have houses, women have cars, women have degrees, women have money. So you have what I have, but you want me to take the burden of your life and put it onto the burden that I already have. Where do we do that at?
There's no issue of objectifying women here. The purpose of a dowry is to maintain equality and responsibility within the marriage. Those who always want to get married but refuse to contribute and want to avoid paying the dowry are more selfish. They want to enjoy all the benefits of marriage but don't want to pay any price. This mentality is the true form of objectifying oneself, as it shows that they view marriage as a way to enjoy benefits without taking on any responsibilities. This kind of man is the one who truly objectifies himself. He is the one who is truly useless.
It's hard to find someone that popularized the association between beautiful women and diamonds more so than Marilyn Monroe. Of course, she's a bit before my generation, but if you were in the 1980s, you can remember in 1987 when Janet Jackson sang famously, "Don't you know that diamonds are a girl's best friend?" Of course, here we are some 35, 40 years later, and De Beers is saying that they're having a 10 to 15% price cut amid a slumping market pressured by the proliferation of artificial diamonds, but also sliding demand across the West and China. What this points to is that the change in the female-male dynamics, not just in the West, but in places specifically where you have markets where young ladies are making more money and they're looking for relationships, but they're not doing so in a way that's romantic to men. Otherwise, this slumping market in diamonds wouldn't be there, because there's a time where men gladly went to the store to buy a big diamond for the woman that was the apple of their eye. So either there's a problem with the diamonds, or there's a problem with the men, or there's a problem with the dating market. And it's not the men, because men still buy diamonds. It's just fewer men buying them. And that's going on across the West and China, which says it's not the men that's changed, it's the dating situation. And what men have started to understand is that only certain types of young ladies get diamonds. Either they can buy the diamonds for themselves, or they have to not be a city girl. Because city girls don't get diamonds. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.